And it looks like we are live. Hello there. Welcome to Jason Hebert Live. We have another missing persons interview, a case we will go over in just a moment, a very sad case from 2005 that greatly needs your help. Before we get going, if you are into trying to help solve missing persons cases or just true crime stories in general, please subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to click the notification bell and set it to all to be notified every time I upload a new video, which is pretty much mostly every night. Hello to everyone in the chat, Edie Whitley, Jake, Heather, Linda, everyone, all the Be United folks. Thanks for joining us. Let me introduce my lovely co-host, which many of you know by now, Denise McGarry. Hi, Denise.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Denise was one of our earlier interviews, and she has come back to help us on quite a few because she's also a missing persons advocate. There's plenty of work behind the scenes. Hi, Linda. But okay, let me first bring up, actually, let me show you a couple pictures. Here's Be United's flyer. Please check out their website. They will be linked below once this is uploaded, be-united.org, as well as Be United Missing Persons on Facebook. So I will post the links. And this flyer here is the Be United flyer for our missing girl tonight. Her name is Jennifer Casper-Ross. Again, disappears from 5505, May 5th, 2005. Let's go over a few pictures of her here, some earlier ones, of course. This is a more current one. And we will go over the specifics of the case in just a moment and then introduce her mom, Carla Ross, who we have on with us tonight. So here's Jennifer, beautiful girl, as you can see. Please tell me I'm showing my screen, and I'm not. I do it every time. Sorry, guys. Let me bring the flyer up again. Okay, so here's the Be United flyer. You guys can see it now, I believe, right? Yes. Okay, and here's some pictures of Jennifer. Like I was saying, gorgeous girl. And we do have her mother on with us tonight to go over the case with us. There are a lot of details of her case and people related to it that her mother is ignore that one, that her mother is suspicious of or doesn't completely agree with what's been said. And this is the wrong one. Okay. So there are some pictures of Jennifer. Jennifer was a dancer, which is what that picture is there. So let's kind of go over the specifics of her case, then we'll bring her mother on. So on May 5th, 2005, at approximately 5:30 a.m., Jennifer Ross arrived in a taxi at the Reno Sparks Cab Company where her mother worked. Jennifer often wasn't charged for fares due to her mother working there, and oftentimes Carla would pay the fare for Jennifer. But when Jennifer went inside to see her mother and was told she wasn't present at work at the time, she ran out of the office, breaking her high-heel shoe on the way out, hopping a fence, and then vanishing. Nobody has seen her since. Jennifer had been having some struggles in her life and was drinking and taking drugs in the months before her disappearance. She had lost her job a week prior due to substance abuse. The night before the cab incident, she had gotten into a fight with her husband, Sean Ross, and went to stay at the Peppermill Hotel and Casino, where she spent the night at the bar from approximately 12:30 to 5:30 a.m. before going to see her mother. Carla is concerned about certain aspects of Sean's story and how he has related them to police. She doesn't believe certain things he has said, such as Sean has stated to authorities that Jennifer had become addicted to drugs and alcohol after suffering postpartum depression after their son's birth, which Carla says is definitely not true. When Sean called Carla at the cab stand, he allegedly said, quote, "Jennifer's gone. I think she's dead. She might be in the river." And then the people Carla worked for then told her Jennifer had been there. They hadn't told her previously that she was there and run out. Carla wasn't aware Sean had already been to the police department, but since it hadn't even been 36 hours, they wouldn't take a missing persons report yet. Tonight we have Jennifer's mother, Carla Ross Brown, who believes her daughter met with foul play, on to tell her daughter's story in the hopes that if you know anything about Jennifer's disappearance, that you come forward. It is often the little pieces of information such as that lead to the whole case unraveling. Carla, I want to thank you for coming on tonight and just let you know that we're extremely sorry for what you're going through, and you do have the support of me and my team.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And
Absolutely.
Jason, my name is Carla Casper Brown.
Oh, what did I say?
Carla Brown Ross.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up the two names there. I'm so sorry about that. Going off the script, I'm like on robotic mode here. Sorry, guys. It's all correct in the title and everything, but I mixed up the names with her and the daughter, the married name. Okay, so why don't you start by just tell us a little bit about Jennifer, and then you can kind of lead into what we do know on the day of her disappearance, what happened. And then we'll kind of go into some of the specifics on what you believe may be true and untrue, but let's start at the beginning.
Jennifer, she was very intelligent. She loved animals and science. She wanted to be a vet, but then she changed her mind and she loved dance. She always wanted to dance. She started dancing when she was 7, and when she was 15, she was a professional ballerina. She came to Birmingham when she was 16 and taught the ballet class. She loved children. She loved dogs. She had Jennifer was she was sweet. She was a very sweet, kind, caring person. A little naive sometimes, but very sweet, very smart. That's her husband right there. That's Sean.
Okay. So we will be focusing on him quite a bit tonight, I believe. I'm sorry.
I didn't meet Sean until after they were married. I didn't even know they were married till 3 days after they got married.
Okay. Okay, and so on that day, do you want to kind of go over what happened the night before leading into that morning before the incident at the cab stand?
I had seen Jennifer earlier at Albertsons, and she was getting a bottle of wine. Her and Isaac was there. She wanted me to come over, but I had prior engagements that I could not break, so I could not go over. I told her I would try later, but I didn't get to. And then I tried to call her the next day, and I didn't get no answer. That night I went to work. Friday night I went to work, and my phone rang, and I answered it, and it was Sean, and he said to me, Jennifer's gone. I think she's dead. She might be in the river. And I said, to what? He repeated himself, and I said, what do you mean she's gone? She might be dead. She's in the river. I said, this don't make no sense. And the lady that I worked with started mouthing to me that Jennifer had been there the night before, or Thursday morning is what it would have been. I'm going, what? What do you mean she was here? What was, just going through my mind. But yeah, she went there looking for me. She took a cab down there from the pepper mill. When she found out I wasn't there, she ran out the door. Her shoe broke. She went to the back of the cab lot where the mechanic shop was and jumped a fence. And that fence just went to another fence, which was bordering a trailer park. So Jennifer, in the little alleyway in between the two fences, she walked to the left. She went to the left and then came back up and came right back out and walked in between two buildings and ended up right back on Gentry in front of the cab company.
Oh, so
and we
she
know
came back
that
in front of the cab company. Okay.
The dogs came. The dogs came 16 days after Jennifer was gone. The dogs came to the cab company, and they used the shoes. And the dogs followed her trail over. They took the dogs behind the fence, and then they followed her up to the front of the building, and there they lost her scent. And the only reason that they could smell her was because between the two buildings, the scent was kind of stayed in place, so the dogs could smell her. But once it got into the open street, they could no longer smell her. But Jennifer she was just barely over a mile from her house. And if you took the back way and up through the mall, it was probably less than a mile. Because she was barefoot. She had, she's distraught. She's inebriated. I don't know. The only thing I could think for her to do would be to go home, where she could get shoes, where she could, collect her thoughts, get herself together, because obviously she was not together at this point.
Right, and she had been drinking the night before, which of course probably contributed to that state of mind. And that
Well,
she
she
was in.
continued drinking when she went to the peppermill because I went back and I talked to the cocktail waitress that served him. And I asked her how Jennifer managed to get so intoxicated when she had no money. And she told me that some gentleman was tipping the bartender rather nice. But then I also know that the gentleman stayed at the peppermill for, I don't know exactly how long, but for hours after Jennifer left.
Okay, so he definitely didn't go with her. Plus, no one saw him there.
She tried to call her dad from a payphone down in the peppermill before she went out and got in the cab. And her father just said, "You're drunk. Go home. Call me when you wake up," and hung up on her. So that didn't help to her agitate. Obviously, she was agitated when she left home because her and Sean were fighting. She was not
Right.
happy with her marriage. She had not been. They had been separated for probably close to a year and a half, but they still shared the marital home. They just had separate bedrooms.
Okay.
Jennifer had the bedroom down off the large bedroom, and Sean had the bedroom upstairs.
So they had separate bedrooms. And as far as her being upset, I believe I had read, I don't think we spoke about this specifically, that she called her dad something about going down to Vegas with him or something.
She was supposed to be going to Vegas in just a couple of days. Her best friend was fixing to have a baby, and Jennifer was going down there for the birth of the baby.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure of the day, but I do know that she was planning on going to Vegas for her best friend's baby.
Okay. And I do want to make it clear before we go into some of this, we make no hard allegations on this show, of course. We do it for the protection of you, Carla, and the show, everybody involved. But we will be talking about, Carla is going to be trying to piece together what she knows happened. So that can lead to speculation. And that's all that this is. It's all alleged and it's all speculation. But I understand that you feel some things that Sean has said, both to you and to law enforcement, you feel like it doesn't quite add up. Do you want to go into some of the specifics about that?
When Sean found out that Jennifer came to the cab company, since he had already been to the police department, he couldn't change his story. So he had to add to it, I guess you might say. Like when, I asked him what she had, I said, did she have a bag with her? Did she have, because Jennifer had just been hospitalized 6 weeks prior to her. They think she had gotten out of the hospital. Her and Sean were fighting, and she called me, and I went to where they were. The cops came and everything, but I just seen that my daughter needed help, and I called 911, and they came and they took her to a rehab treatment place, and that's where Jennifer was diagnosed as bipolar. Sean liked to tell people that she had postpartum depression. Never did Jennifer have postpartum depression. She was thrilled to be a mother. Isaac was her life, her world. She was her biggest disappointment in life at this point in time was her marriage. They talked about a divorce, and I'm actually the one who told her not to get a divorce, so just wait and see how things went, because it's marriage. He's the father of your child. And he was different, and he did things that I didn't understand, but that didn't mean he was just. Jennifer loved him, and she loved him, but she wasn't satisfied with him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
They met. They had known each other for years because Sean did the lighting and the sound at the show. But they did not start dating. They didn't even date a year. I don't even think they dated 6 months before they got married.
Okay.
I still lived in Mississippi when Jennifer got married. So but nobody went to their wedding.
Nobody went.
Yeah, there's no pictures of anybody but her and Sean. They had a nice wedding up at Tahoe, but nobody was there. Private wedding. Sean liked to do things private.
So that was his decision. Okay.
Probably so.
Okay, we do have a question from the chat, and then I want to make sure Denise has some questions as well. But Linda Richardson asks, could Jennifer have been scared of something?
Um, and Jennifer's state of mind and the way that she was acting at the cab company. No, I'd have to say that at that point in time, no, Jennifer was not good. She was irate at everything. She was just angry. Just the way she ran out of the cab company, she was being belligerent with the coworkers, and um, yeah, she was just. Was she scared? Not while she was in the cab company. Now, after she jumped the fence, maybe, maybe because she'd never really been in a position like that. Um, and that's why I think that her better judgment would have had to have kicked in at some point, and she would have went home. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because there's no place, they've speculated maybe she went back to the casino. Maybe somebody else gave her a ride. Nobody reported seeing her walking down Virginia, which Virginia is the main street in Reno. But there's a little side street, I believe it's Drury Avenue. It's been a long time, but it goes down into what's called Barrio, where all the Mexican bars was and the street vendors and stuff like that. Of course, at that time of the day, there wouldn't have been nobody out, but it would have come up at the back side of the mall, and then she would have just crossed the street and been a half a block from home.
Okay.
But,
Denise.
Okay. So Carla, I was curious to know, there was a report of a note with blood on it, and she did have a report that she had cuts on her either arms or wrist. It's not specific. Were those cuts from earlier that day? Was it due to a fight? Was that her going through a lot of...
Yeah, Denise, we should have had you on for that beginning part. Carla disputes that. Sorry, we didn't.
Okay.
That was before you came on. Do you want to go over that, Carla? Sorry, I should have told you that, Denise.
No,
Denise,
that's okay.
Nobody reported seeing any marks on Jennifer except Sean.
Okay.
This was after the fact. And it is also said that she had on a sweater, a shirt and a sweater. She had on a sweater. How's anybody going to see her arms?
Right. That was the question I had, because there's a lot of it has to do with, you see a lot of mixed information.
Absolutely.
And you want to get the right information is what I'm trying to figure out. Now, was it normal for her to jump the fence?
No, there was nothing normal about my daughter that night. It wasn't normal for Jennifer to have blue jeans on. Jennifer always wore dresses or skirts.
But that
high heels, yes, she always wore high heels. But blue jeans wasn't. And the notes, Jennifer and Sean used to practice. They were both highly intelligent people. I mean, extremely intelligent. Jennifer got accused of plagiarism by one of the professors because he accused her of turning in Sean's paper because it was so much like Sean's, and wrote so much. And the handwriting, even they would even practice their handwriting. And on the notes, it was actually 2 notes, Denise. I didn't find out about 2 notes for a very long time. The blood on there was Jennifer's. The notes said who could see Isaac and that Sean could have everything she owned. She just wanted to go away and I don't know, do what? Just go away. And Sean could have everything. And I mean everything is what this note supposedly said. So I guess she's writing this note and she gets a nosebleed or something, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Was she ever afraid of him?
No. Sean was not an aggressive man at all.
Okay, he was not aggressive. All right.
No, not at all. Jennifer could be. Yes, especially if she, was intoxicated. But Sean, no. He's, I guess he's like private or so. I don't know. He was just so different. that no, in their marriage, they didn't have like a conventional marriage. Jennifer paid for her things and Sean paid for his things. They split the bills down to the penny. Uh, Sean, I don't know, he made a comment to me right after we got there. We came out here and we stayed with them for not long because Sean wanted us to pay five. It's just crazy. He split the water bill down into 9 parts, and since there was 5 of me, I was supposed to pay the biggest part of the water bill. And I said, I'm not never going to get out of your house if I have to pay this kind of stuff. But anyway, um, Sean was like, he left us at a casino one night. We had gone to see Lou Rawls. It was a great night. That picture right there was took when we went to see Lou Rawls. It was a great night. Everybody was having a good time. We had left the Hilton and we went over to this little casino downtown, and me and Jennifer went to the restroom, and when we came out, Sean was gone. And I hadn't been in Reno very long. And it was different to me to be left. But I said, where did he go? She said, he probably just went home. And I said, without telling you? He did nothing. He just up and left us at the casino. I found that strange. But he was very energetic, very, very motivated, very, like I said, he was a gentle guy, very, very intelligent, very intelligent. But he also, where he was intelligent, he didn't have a lot of street sense, common sense. He made a reference to me one day. He said about Isaac. He said, "Do you think I want Isaac to grow up like you and your sons?" He said, "Look at you." He said, "None of you even have an education." Jennifer was one of the first ones in my family to go to college. She only had 1 year left to graduate, and she was on the dean's list all 3 years that she was there.
So it sounds like you're suspicious of his stories in one sense, but you're also saying he was non-aggressive and gentle. So what do you think? How do you rationalize? What do you think the possibilities are?
In my opinion, I think that Jennifer went home. I think they continued arguing. And the state that Jennifer was in, being so agitated and irritated, if they start arguing, she probably got aggressive with Sean. Something probably happened 15 years ago. I would have called it a crime of passion, because I don't believe that Sean would have intentionally hurt Jennifer, but I do believe something happened. And I believe I'd like to be wrong. Trust me, I'd really like to be wrong because it's going to devastate my grandson. And I don't like to think that he did something to Jennifer, but he wasn't cooperative. Like when she first went missing, the detectives called me and asked me if Jennifer had a dentist. And I said, yes. I said, she had just had braces took off of her teeth. And Sean told him he didn't even know she had a dentist. She had just spent $5,000 on her teeth, but he couldn't remember. Her Volvo was in the shop. He wouldn't tell him. He told him he didn't know where it was. They called me and I said, Sean, put it there. But he wouldn't cooperate. And then, and he kept changing his story. And then he'd give custody of Isaac to his mom. There was no reason for that. He didn't go to work for 4 or 5 nights. 5 nights, I believe it was. So he had the house all to himself. And then Sunday morning on Mother's Day, he took her van and went to Grass Valley. And then before the police came on May the 11th to the house, he got rid of that van. They never seen it. That made me very highly suspicious.
And nobody has seen that van since?
No, the police told me that Sean told them it was a piece of junk and didn't run. And I said, that's not true. I said, I've got a picture of Isaac in there not 2 weeks before. But it took me 9 years to get anybody to even look for the van. And it had been crushed like literally a week or 2 before.
Oh, after 9 years?
Sean went in. Yep. Sean went in and he made Jennifer out to look like just a horrible, deplorable person. And the missing persons detectives told me that Sean was more of a victim than Jennifer was. And I mean, it was just horrible. And it took me forever it took me 3 years to even humanize my daughter. So, and also, I don't know if you know this because it hasn't been brought up, but Sean divorced Jennifer. He filed for divorce 3 months after she went missing. How you do that when she's not there to defend herself in any way, I don't have a clue. But he did it, and he was granted the divorce 8 months after she went missing. And in the letters that he wrote, he gave himself the house, the child, the furniture, her car, every belonging that she had. And Jennifer had expensive taste. They had a nice house. They had a nice life. Jennifer just wasn't happy.
And so you had said they have almost the same handwriting, and you had mentioned she wrote notes, but leaving him stuff. But now you're saying the notes he wrote. So do you believe he forged notes to look like her? Those notes, or
It's a possibility. It is a possibility. I didn't know there was two notes until 2 years ago. They only told me there's one note. And it did have Jennifer's blood on it. DNA test confirmed that. And they said that the handwriting came back as Jennifer's. But they would compare, like I told them about the plagiarism incident. They didn't even look into that. They didn't do a lot of things. They didn't do nothing. They still haven't done nothing. Just during the lockdown, during the pandemic, I'm on my 8th detective. And during the pandemic, he actually took all the notes from the last 15 years and digitalized them and put them in order. Whether he's had a chance to read them all or not, I don't know. But he just now put them in order. 15 years. 15 years. They've just been sitting in a box all thrown together. They've done Sean failed the lie detector test. I don't know if y'all know that. He was scheduled to go back and take a second lie detector test. I didn't know that he failed it for a very long time. They lied to me about that too. For a very long time, they told me that it came back inconclusive. And I want to say it was when she had been gone 11 years that I found out that he had failed it. But he was supposed to go back and take another one. And instead of going back and taking another one, he just sold the house and left. And he moved around for a little bit. He went to Portland, Oregon. He went to Austin, Texas. And then he housed up in San Diego, California until last year. And then he's supposed to be back in Reno, and they still, I don't know what's going on.
How long after she went missing did he move?
A year, not even. He sold the house in December of 2006. So a little more than a year, yeah, year and a half.
And how long after did he get rid of the truck? I know you said that, but I want to make sure.
The van was gone before the police came to the house on May the 11th. The van was not there.
Less than a week.
Yes.
And
she went missing on Thursday, and it was when they came to the house the following Wednesday. The van was gone.
Okay, well I think it's obvious that doesn't look great.
I didn't think so either. They would not listen to me. I even had her dad, because her dad bought the brand that he bought the van brand new, and so there had only been two owners. But I don't know. I just, because of the things that Sean did and said, I could not get anything done.
What is his reasoning for blood being on the note?
He won't talk to me.
Has he told detectives?
No, he won't go in. He failed the lie detector test the one time he did go in. I don't know when they took him in or nothing. Like I said, they didn't tell me for a long time, and then they told me it came back inconclusive. And then, like I said, just 4 years ago, I found out that he had failed it. And he was scheduled to go back and take another one. He just didn't show up. He had talked about going to Portland, Oregon, and going to school, and he talked about going to Austin, Texas, and going to school, and San Diego, and he went to all them places after he sold the house. and went to school, I guess. He finally graduated, got his master's, PhD. I think he got a PhD.
So Isaac is his and Jennifer's son. He's bouncing all around the place, but Isaac is still in California. So is he not with the son at all during this whole time?
Oh, yes, he took Isaac all in places with him.
Oh,
They ended up in California a long time ago. Um, I want to say Isaac. I believe they got to California when Isaac was about 8, because I know he went to the 3rd grade there.
okay.
Because I'm nosy.
Well, I think you deserve to be in this case, for sure. We have a question from the chat, and then I want to make sure Denise gets hers in too. But Edie Whitley asked, she said they, but I think she means Jennifer. Did they have life insurance?
Better it's the way she said it, did they? On Isaac's first birthday, I found this out on Isaac's first birthday. Sean's mother sold insurance, and Isaac got an insurance policy for his first birthday. Sean called me one time after Jennifer went missing, and that was when they had, when she'd been gone 7 years, or they'd been divorced 7 years. He called me and he said, the state of Nevada got it wrong. He said, we're not really divorced because they was wanting him to pay the hospital bill from when she was in 9 West. And I said, no, Sean, they got it right. But I was thinking more along life insurance. Whether they've ever checked into it, who knows? I couldn't get them to look for a van. They were so lackadaisious about Jennifer's disappearance and just so non-caring that it was heartbreaking, really. They didn't even turn her dental records in for 6 years. And then that was only because a very good friend now who works he helped start the NamUs program, and he works for the Department of Justice. He found it, and for 6 years they did not turn Jennifer's dental records in, and I was told that because of that, there's over 300,000 chances that Jennifer could have been buried, given a serial number, because of that one mistake. But they found a mandolin bone out in Death Valley a few years ago, and they thought it was Jennifer's, but it wasn't. But an orthodontologist in Sacramento has since digitalized all of Jennifer's dental records, and they have been compared against anybody that possibly could have. So I've been told. And Sean, another thing that Sean did after he gave his mom custody, I kept trying to make contact with him because I had stuff in the garage that he wanted me to get out and stuff. But he just kept avoiding me and avoiding me. I finally felt like he was avoiding me. He just kept saying, "Oh, I missed you, whatever." But 3 weeks after Jennifer went missing, he went camping. Him and one of his friends from Grass Valley and Isaac to one of the national parks there in the Sierra Nevadas, which I don't know if y'all know about the Sierra Nevadas, but in late May, you don't even want to go camping in the Sierra Nevadas because they still got snow in them. So I found that really strange. But the van was to just be able to get rid of her van, and nobody cared, because Jennifer had 2 cars. She had a Volvo, which was in the shop, and she had a van. It's just, and I can't see Jennifer giving everything. I mean, we're talking about her. When she was a little girl, she was Little Miss Idaho, Little Miss Rocky Mountain, Little Miss runner-up second runner-up in the Little Miss America pageant. She had all of her trophies and stuff like that. Lots of things. Family heirloom. She had my mother's hope chest. I just don't think that Jennifer would give all of her stuff away, and I know she would not give her son away. She planned Isaac down to the month he was going to be born. He had to be born when there was no school. No, I don't believe that if she wrote that note, then she was, I don't know. I just don't she would give everything away.
Bunny Love
in the house, Jason. That's it. They were buying their house. And their house got really valuable, like almost overnight, because the city came in and put in sewers and sidewalks. And so their house more than doubled in value.
Wow.
And he also, in the note, it also said that he could have that. He could have her cars. He could have everything. You'd think she'd want to go home and get a pair of shoes. Jennifer was spoiled. She had a coffee pot that cost $1,000. It would do everything but grow the beans, literally. And pictures. Oh my God! And Sean took a class in photography. He took pictures of Jennifer all the time. Beautiful pictures. He was an excellent photographer. But he didn't give me any. But the one picture, I sent you the one picture of her and Isaac, the first one that was on her birthday. And that, when I snuck up on him and he was standing on the porch and he couldn't avoid me, he gave me that picture then. And it was her birthday. 5 days later, after that picture, she was gone.
We do have a question from Bunny Love 2780 who asked, did they search the lake?
No, they haven't done anything.
Yeah, I thought so, but this
But you
is,
would
I
think
mean,
that, you know,
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was just going to say this to me. I mean, again, I don't want to make any accusations, but this sounds like a pretty strong case of victim blaming, based on possibly what he said or whatever reasons, where it seems like when they look into the life of a person, if they did things either that you want to classify either as mistakes or at the very least as things they don't agree with, whatever, that they kind of victim blame and they don't look as hard, they don't care as much. And it sounds like this may be a case of that. Is that what you think might be happening?
I do, yes. Yes, I do. Very much so.
Because I mean, I got to say, I run across police all the time that didn't do a lot, but it seems like in this case they did almost nothing that they typically
Nothing.
do.
Nothing.
There was no searches at all completed except for the dogs around the taxi.
Correct.
And that was it.
That was it.
So they've never took the dogs to the house. They never searched the house or the property.
No.
Wow.
And Sean had the house from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He went to Grass Valley, and then Monday, I don't believe he went to work Monday. Tuesday, he reported her missing. Wednesday, the cops went to the house.
Okay.
But the van was gone.
Yeah, that van, I gotta say, that's one thing I really don't like about this. That, I mean, again, I'm no professional investigator or anything, but I've watched enough Investigation Discovery to know that when a van disappears out of nowhere, I don't mean to make that face, but when a van disappears out of nowhere, it's usually not a good sign. Or a carpet gets ripped up or something. It typically means something bad could happen.
When I seen Sean that day, I went in to say hi to Isaac, and I asked Sean if they had wood floors. I asked Sean if he had the floors done, and he said no. He said, I just clean them better than she did.
So he's insulting her even after she's gone.
Yes, always. But he, like I said, I don't want Sean to be guilty, but I can't. Why won't he talk to me? Surely he has to know that I have questions. I don't know. I truly just don't understand.
Have you tried to have someone else reach out to him? Maybe someone he feels like is more on his level and not like a parent kind of thing?
I've tried every which way I could. His son, when I found Isaac, he had put a thing on Facebook, and he said, he told Sean that he lied to him. He said, for the first 12 years of my life, you told me she was dead. And he said, and then you change it. He said, so which is it? He said, I deserve to know the truth, and so does her mom. He said, you have no remorse for the mother of your child.
Oh, your grandson said this?
Yes. last year to his dad. He emancipated himself from Sean, but now they're talking again. They had a baby, so but now he's not talking. Yeah.
So
But
he's
yes, I have that.
suspicious.
I have that screenshotted. I actually have that screenshotted.
Wow.
And he just, I mean, all he has to do, if he has nothing to hide, why is he hiding?
Right. The night she went missing, well, I know it was early in the morning. Would he have went after her and found her at the taxi?
No, she was at the pepper mill for a few hours before she went to the cab company, and she wasn't at the cab company very long at all.
Okay.
I don't know that Sean ever went to the cab company.
So you do think she absolutely made it home that night?
It's the only thing that makes sense to me. I mean, sure, she could have went to the 7-Eleven. It would have been closer. The pepper mill would have been closer, but they would not have let her in. The people at 7-Eleven, Sean said he went there and talked to them, but then I was out there uh, in 2010, I believe, and I went by the house, and the kids that lived across the street from were teenagers now, and they were outside playing. And I asked them if I just, handed them a flyer, and I said, "Do you remember her?" And they said, "Yeah, but she was found." And I said, "She hasn't been found." And they said, "He told us she was found."
Really?
That's what he told the neighbors.
So
That's
he
what the
has been
neighbors.
given mixed information the whole time.
Yes. And I'm assuming that he probably told them that before he sold the house.
Have you ever obtained the divorce papers? I I don't know
Yeah,
how
that's
the laws are there.
God sent me an angel. He sent me a lawyer, and he was going to be Jennifer's guardian at Little. And he took $30,000 from Sean for Jennifer's part of the divorce. And also in them papers, it says that should Sean sell the marital home, Jennifer is entitled to her half of the marital home assets, which she still hasn't gotten. See, that's how come I know that on that note that was wrote where it said who could see Isaac and everything else, I know that my name was on there. I know that my 3 sons' name was on there, and Jennifer's dad's name was on there. So, and how I got the lawyer, I don't have a clue. The lawyer, unfortunately, is no longer my lawyer, and he can no longer talk to me by law because he is now the judge master of family courts in Reno, Nevada. So by law, we cannot speak to each other. But Isaac, I went out there when I talked to them kids because Jennifer had that money and it was just sitting in the courthouse and they wanted me to do something with it. And I wasn't going to do nothing that would give it back to Sean. And if I hired another lawyer, they was just going to keep dipping into it because 30,000 then went down to $27,544. And I said, well, what if I just walk home? What if I just pack up and go back home to Kentucky? And they said, well, we'll just have to hold this money then. So that's what I did. And Isaac got his money this year, his mom's money. I mean, Jennifer could have, if she wanted to have hid, she could have hid. Because, but I mean, there's been no hits on her birth certificate, no hits on her social security card, no hits on her academic records. Surely, I mean, what did she do? Just take off in life and hide her stuff? And, I mean, you can't do that. And also, after Jennifer went missing, a girl named Brianna Dennison went missing, and her family had just about all of Reno searched. They did find their daughter, and they found a strange pair of panties there. They asked me if those was Jennifer's, but they weren't. But there was no Jennifer.
Did they ever find out who her cause of why she went missing?
Brianna Dennison?
Yes.
Yes, her killer. Oh, I can't. He's got a weird name. Oh yeah, something. Yes, he's in prison.
Okay.
They went through the DNA. They went through DNA of everybody. Yeah, they're serious. They found him. He's in jail. He's in prison for life, maybe even death.
So,
Biela. Bila, I think is his last name.
do you think there's any possibility, because I know she was a dancer, Jennifer, that there are any patrons that either had an obsession with her or she hung out with them or anything along those lines that she could have went to see
Um,
or came to see her? Or
there was
did she
one.
have a cell phone she could have called them?
No, she did not have a phone with her.
Okay.
See, when I first talked to Shawnee, told me she didn't have nothing with her. And then it went to a small handbag, and then it went to a shoulder bag. Even the people at the cab company weren't really sure, but no one said anything about a duffel bag full of clothes. And you don't. James Bila was the man who killed Breonna Dennison, Biela, James. Um, you can't. I can't just see you walking through the pepper mill dragging this duffel bag full of clothes and sit down and hang out with some high roller and get drunk. Oh, well, here, let me move my clothes out of the way. And then you drag them to, nobody said anything about any clothes. Nobody. The man who seen her jump over the fence. And yes, a man seen her jump over the fence. He didn't say, well, she threw her bag of clothes over and then followed it. She did not have no clothes with her.
Okay.
And I think I cut you off because I asked two questions in one. What were you going to say about anyone that might have had a thing for her from the club, or she might have hung out with, anything like that?
There was some guy. There was some guy that she liked, and I think that's probably why she went to the pepper mill to begin with, because I believe that's where he hung out. But she wouldn't have. I don't know where he lived or anything. And I also spoke with this man. His name is Marcus, and I don't believe. Marcus told me he had not seen Jennifer or talked to her that night, and I believe that. And there was one other guy that Jennifer had dated for like 9 months while her and Sean was split up and still cohabitating. His name was Eli. I talked to Eli, and he had not talked to her either. And Eli and Jennifer were still friends, even though they weren't dating anymore. They were still very good friends.
But do you have any suspicions about any of these guys that she might have went? I know they said they didn't see her, but that she could have went to see any of them and something could have happened there, or is all your suspicions on Sean?
I don't believe Marcus or Eli, either one, had anything to do with it.
Okay.
No, they did not. And I don't want to think Sean, but everything points back to, and why did he run from the lie detector test? Why did he fail the first one? Why won't he talk to me? Just sit down and talk to me.
Yeah, if he's watching, we would implore you to do that, Sean. Because
I don't want to think that this man hurt my daughter. But knowing my daughter, I'm going to assume that my daughter attacked Sean while they were arguing. It wouldn't be the first time. She was agitated, irritated, intoxicated. She probably raged out at Sean, and he probably was just defending himself or something. I don't know. But I don't believe he intentionally hurt. He did not set out to hurt my daughter. How about that? He did not. That was not his intentions ever in life. That's not Sean. He can be pompous. He can be arrogant. He can be a jerk. But he's not violent.
okay.
He might be miserable, but he's weird. It's like when Isaac was born. I went back up to the hospital, and of course Sean came to the door. They're all locked up and stuff. Sean came to the door, and he told me that Jennifer was sleeping, and Isaac was sleeping, and he was trying to sleep, and so I would have to come back. Next time I went back, he said they were just bonding. He wouldn't let me in. They got home, and I went over there. Isaac was 5 days old. I know exactly because it was my birthday. And Sean came to the door. And again, he told me that I could not see the baby or Jennifer because they were having family time and bonding. Well, Jennifer, I guess she asked Sean, who was at the door. Of course, she was expecting me as well. And he told her it was me. And he told her that he made me leave. And she called me and told me to come back over, please, And when I got back over, Sean cooked me dinner. I mean, that's just how he could be, just cold. Sometimes I think he would be, I don't even think he realized he was being rude or cold or arrogant, however you want to say it, just different. In the long run, I guess if I had to just come down to it, Jason and Denise, I would have to say yes. After 15 years and everything that I thought about and gone, I mean, I've tried. Just like that girl that was just, her body was just found last week, Christy Wilson in California. The man who killed her, Mario Flavo Garcia, I seen this on Dateline or 48 Hours or something back in 2007. And Arrowhead Casino, where he killed her, was only 90 miles from Reno, and they said that he traveled a lot and everything. I even asked the police to please look at that man. I said, can you find out if he was in Reno? Because that girl, Christy Wilson, was killed 5 months to the day after Jennifer, under very similar circumstances, being in the casino all night, and then he followed her out, and then, yeah, but they found her blood and DNA in his trunk. Jennifer didn't leave him. Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. So we had a few questions. The first from Linda: could a taxi have given her a lift? I think that's a no, right? Because you know them there, and they would have told you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They would have told, and they would have had to turn on their meter. They can't run with that. If there's somebody in their car, they got to turn their meter on.
Okay. And the second question we have from Carrie Hazel: was Sean working when Jennifer went missing, and do you think he used drugs?
No, Sean had gotten off work. He got off about 11:30, got home right before Jennifer left. And at this point in time, Sean had stopped using the drugs.
Okay. So I know your stance is that Jennifer probably would never just take off, of course. But if for whatever reason, if she is out there, I always like to do this segment, towards the end. If they are out there and for whatever reason, if she's hiding or trying to protect you from something or just going through something in her life, anything like that, if you could speak directly to her, what would you say to her if she is listening?
Calm, baby. Just calm up. Just calm. Call Jake. Corn would like to talk to you. Mom's phone number is 270-727-1541. Call me. I love you. I'll always love you. I'll never give up. Never. Promise.
All right, Carla, thank you. You're doing a great job representing her. So if you are listening, if you're out there, Jennifer, please, of course, call your mom. Denise, did you have any additional? I want to make sure, both from Denise and Carla, if there's anything I forgot to mention or.
No, I'm proud of you, Carla. I'm proud of you. I am. I know you've been going through a lot lately, and I'm proud of you. We're going to do our best to look into this and see what we can find.
Absolutely.
Just need to take her home so she can rest in peace. Because I don't believe she's here.
No, you're
accepting she's not here.
Is that, Carla, on your end, is there, we want to make sure that we're very thorough in this and that we get Jennifer's entire story out. Is there anything that Denise or myself didn't think to ask that you want to make sure, whether it be a detail about the day she went missing or just something about her in general, anything that we didn't think to cover? Identifying marks, tattoos, scars, anything like that?
Jennifer had a tattoo on her foot, on her right ankle. It was JG. It stood for Josh Gilgy, her first boyfriend. I've called him too. I've called everybody. I keep calling him. I don't care. I'll keep calling him. What are they going to do? Get mad and hang up on me? Won't be the first time. And I promise you this, as long as I'm breathing, it won't be the last.
And you know what? I'm sure anyone would understand that, even if they're busy or something. Give you a call back. I'm sure any decent person would understand a mother calling for something like that. So I don't think you have anything to worry about there.
I love that picture.
Which one, with the baby?
The one where she's holding Isaac.
Yeah, that's a
That's
nice
my
one.
favorite. If you look that good after you have a baby, you're doing something right.
Yeah, she's a gorgeous girl. She's beautiful.
Yeah, she is.
Even right after having the baby, like you say. We got a lot of prayers for you in the chart.
Thank you.
Be
Thank you all
United,
for watching.
and Be United, they do a lot of work behind the scenes too. So I'm sure if they can have anything, as does Denise, of course. So I'm sure if they uncover anything, they'll be letting you know. There's a lot of people that watch this that do their own work. We're all kind of like independent entities. We're all just kind of friends, and we all have the same goal, so we all work together and stuff. But a lot of different people will contribute to try to help.
I call y'all earthly angels. Couldn't do it without you. All of you.
We call you the same, because I don't think I could go through what you're going through.
Sometimes I don't think I can either, but I'm still here. Maybe a little gray, a little crazy, but I'm still here.
Well, you've done an amazing job tonight. You can be proud of yourself, and I'm sure Jennifer's proud of you too.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us too. Helping me help Jennifer. That's what it's all about, bringing her home.
And if you know anything, whether it's Sean, any of the boyfriends, the guys from the club, anybody listening, even if you know a police officer, whatever, even if you know a tiny bit of information, please come forward. I guess it doesn't make sense to say that to a police officer, because that's who you'd come forward to. But you know what I'm trying to say. Anybody that knows anything, and in these cases, a lot of times I feel like there are people that just kind of think like they know something that's so tiny it wouldn't matter. But I say this in every broadcast, but it's important to repeat that that's always what solves these cases. Always. Is like tiny. I always say, like, there's like tiny little details, and once you cluster the right 3 or 4 together, it opens everything up. So no detail is too small. So if you know anything, please come forward. As far as where to come forward to, Carla, do you want me to put? I could put Jennifer's page as a link below if people want to come and tell you anything that they know or any ideas or anything like that.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
Okay.
And you can the RPD's phone number. I believe it's 775-334-2112. That's not the number I call, but I can't give you the detective's cell phone number.
Right. No, for sure. We don't want to give that out without permission.
But I believe their main office is 334-2112.
Here it does say, is this possibly just another line? 775-334-2175?
That could be the number. It doesn't sound right.
It's the same 334, so it's probably just one of those offices that has like 50 lines in it or something.
Yeah.
So any of the ones listed, you guys can call. That's Reno, Nevada Police, and it's case number 05-17391. So again, I'll put the links below to Jennifer's page. You can contact Reno Police. I'll put their number below as well. You can always email me, although I always stress it's much better to email the authorities or the family than me. But if for whatever reason you're only comfortable in contacting me, then by all means, I'll pass it along. Also, check out Be United. They do a lot of work on missing persons. Their links will be below too. Please check them out. Carla, do you want me to? So, am I going to put Jennifer's missing page or your personal page or both? Whatever you want on there, I'll put it.
Either one. I don't care. Both.
Okay.
That way they can't miss me.
Right.
And Jennifer won't miss me.
No.
If she's out there.
That's for sure. And I do want to warn you though, since you put a phone number out.
That's okay.
Yeah, I always leave that up to people, but I can tell you, I deal with a lot of families. Some sick stuff comes in sometimes, so please just prepare for that.
I will. It's not the first time I've broadcast my phone number.
Okay. Okay.
If
So
it's for Jennifer, I'll do it again.
absolutely.
She's gonna know to call me if I don't tell her the phone number.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Carla. Thank you to Denise, and you guys were wonderful. And thanks everyone for hanging out in the chat. And I'll get this pumped out everywhere I can. I'll spend all night doing that.
And thank you to your audience as well. Thank you, all of you, so much.
All right, everyone, have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.